Hello, dear friends, viewers, and trolls who gonna be blocked. Not all trolls can be blocked. I need to say there is increasing number of trolls who you simply can't block anymore, right? But you can erase their comments. Obviously, some of them deeply, deeply, and profoundly work for the powers that be, right? You know what I mean. Psh. So let's continue. So this topic is about the mental hygiene. It's basically topic for the TIs, and I can't really promise that I'm gonna be concise because, as you can notice, I'm not speaking from the script. I'm speaking from my mind and from my heart. So I'll try to give you the best I can practical tools and understanding how to do mental gymnastics with the normies, and how to keep the mental hygiene. So first things first, let's define the society. Reptiles on the top, born in Illuminati, psychopaths, normies or dogs, and then you have us, targeted individuals, empaths, which of course, with the wisdom, with the time, gonna turn into targeted individuals. So who is who? Reptiles are basically, you know, well, I call them ethnic reptiles to be very clear, not to mistake them with the Illuminati, because colloquially they're all Illuminati. But come on, the difference between generals and soldiers is huge. Illuminati are human Illuminati with similar DNA, well, pretty much identical DNA with the rest of the humanity, a little bit different, and they've been born in that kind of system. Mind control from the beginning, and between 1 and 2% of the human society, and they are around. By the way, one digression. Now it's the campaign of bumping into Kruno, and TIs know when that phase starts. When you're walking down the road and people start bumping into you, it's pretty unpleasant, and it doesn't help much that I stop and they bump into me. So you know, not that I digress, but I try to make it funny. I stop and I go beep 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 beep, giving them signal that they're like into about to bump into me, and they still bump into me and give me angry look and stuff like that. So anyway, and then you have psychopaths. What to talk about them? Psychology said a lot. Check out Dr. Rahmani, very very good authority on narcissists and psychopaths. But in my understanding, psychopaths are the organic portals in a true sense. Biological bodies with nothing inside, apart as drones being moved by the reptilian beings from the fourth dimension, and they're on their own. They're pretty stupid. However, when reptiles are moving them, they are very fucking smart, much smarter than we are. And of course, the dogs, the majority of people, what defines average person as average person? It's very simple. Average person never thinks what is truth, what is lie, what is good, what is evil. He or she or it or z always thinks what is in for me. And that void of morality, that distance from a god, if you define the god as a love, as a truth, is what defines a normie from somebody who's a seeker, at least on a path. This is empath. Empath is always empath. Empath is the only person who will seek the truth, the God. You understand me? And that process on its own, it's a courageous process. And from that stock, us TIs, we've been recruited or self-recruited. So first and second hand gaslighting. So first hand gaslighting is coming from the dark triad, reptiles, Illuminati, psychopaths. In a way, they know what are they doing. The alter ego, that demonic voice in them is pushing them to do things, and they just follow that impulse, and that huge power, right? So they do things in their own twisted way, and it has some method to the madness. But the second-hand gaslighting, which is coming from people around us, the dogs like us, because every human being needs to first to be a dog. This is the starting position, and then you start growing into human being. If you have what it takes, the soul inside to grow into, right? And if you're one of my uhljeb friends who's very well situated or medium class, 5,000 kuna per month, which is like whatever, 700 euro Croat, and laughing what I'm saying, Woof woof to you, my friend. You know I mean, good boy. So so how so what is going on? Well, so what is the game? So let's say standard Croat question, jel radiš, di radiš, jel radiš, do you work, where do you work? And then of course according your answer, you're gonna be placed in certain hierarchy of what is in for me. Should I say hello to you on the street next time when I see you, or should I just pass by, right? And that's basically the nutshell of human relationships. And what typically happens is when they start judging, so why don't you work? And if I say, listen, I'm targeted individual, and I'm put on a blacklist because I was talking about government 15 years ago, believe it or not, this is funny, and this is what I like about Croatians. Most of them will understand. They will say, "Oh yeah, okay, well," and then some of them will say something, along that line, and they will show understanding because we always lived in a very repressive society. Before communist society, we had a fascist society. Before fascist society, we had Austrian kingdom, which was also very fucking oppressive shit. And before that, even worse shit, Venice and stuff like that, slavery and that kind of crap. So, and now, past 30 years, we have some fake ass democracy where at least they don't put you in a gulag anymore. They just, fire you, isolate you, and you know the rest of the story, which is talking about the gulag of the modern times being TI, right? And you know how TIs end up. This is not a secret. Suicide, mental institution, prison, homelessness, and then when comes and picks you up, and then you see Illuminati ritual from the first hand, right? This is how it goes. Enjoy the full moon. So I'm speaking it lightly, but not without heaviness in my heart, guys. So I promised you the mental hygiene somehow, and I will try to deliver it. And I'll go back with the conversation with the Sven. So the way how to talk with a normie is not set in stone strategy. It's not something I can give you at the, as one of those American books, 12 Steps to the Success and stuff like that. This is not how the fucking life works, guys. It's way too complicated. So bear with me. I use these basic tactics. First tactic is to tell them the truth, right? And I noticed with the time that the best thing is to tell them the truth. And I always tell them what I tell you, don't take it to the heart, and they won't because what is in for me, right? Woof woof. It's like I'd always tell them, put it in a fascicle folder and put it somewhere in your library of mind. And when something in a life clicks in what I'm saying, pull it out and try to analyze it. That's very fucking intellectually generous, I guess. They typically they don't have much memory, to be honest, because hey, dog is all about impulses, right? So a second thing, if this is not working, if you can't just like with the Sven, you just couldn't communicate because yes, there was literally chemtrails, few of them making lines above our heads, but he just couldn't get into that conversation, telling in my face, ja vjerujem stožeru vladi RH i EU. I believe in stožer, which is the medical clique, which is giving guys here instructions how to deal with the corona, which is basically new government, a government of the our Croatian Republic and the government of the EU. See, this is his credo. But so when you face with somebody with such a rigid ego, right? But a good guy, but rigid ego, then then okay, this is not very creative, but this is the only thing I can do. Is I'm treating him as a psychologist would treat somebody who came for counseling. Unfortunately, he's not aware of the game, but I'm aware of the game. So what do you do? So you push person to the mental health, right? To understanding the situation. Hey, you're a slave, and this is the matrix. So step one would be like understanding your fucking problem, which is the problem of the humanity and the the whole planet. But if this is not working, then you step back and you play with the positive emotions. You don't play with the negative emotions. You came as much as you could, and it already you touch that rigid ego structure inside, and that rigid ego structure will defend itself, and it will defend itself in a very rigid and aggressive manner. Somebody who's certain and mentally healthy and certain in his beliefs doesn't need anger and aggression to defend, right? But somebody who is not, who's in a true sense fragile, and I know this is a overexploited word in the social justice warrior movement, which is basically communist movement, but that's another thing, which is basically Illuminati reptilian psychopathic movement, also in the background. But this is not the point. Point is, when you reach this point that it's like, then you just pull back, and you, of course, you're sensing the person, and every time I would like challenge him, and he would go into like, yeah, you're not gonna teach me math. I have math of sixth level. Like, okay, okay, let's go back. When I try to explain him the Gauss and how the number of humans gonna drop very quickly, very soon, but that's another topic. Then you go into the pleasant emotions, and with him, I was talking about the good old days when we were young and beautiful girlfriends we had at that time, and the good music we've been listening at that time, and all that, and then they soften up, and when they soften up to the degree, then you go back. You understand me? It's like a dentist who's taking the sick tooth out, and you see it's like if poor guy starts to twitch too much, you just calm it down. You give him another morphine in a jaw, give him another volume. Are you okay now? And then you continue. Understand me? So this is the only thing I can tell you how to deal with them. You have to be very, very careful. You have to be very careful because what is installed in them as an ego, it's not just dead structure of instructions, what people think. It's also unfortunately cluster of elements, and it's also cluster of mental parasites, which are in their own weird way self-conscious and alive. So when you're dealing with somebody who is, and this is now I know that I now enter metaphysics, but hello, I'm talking to my fellow TIs and not to normies. So if you dog, woof woof, get the bone and move to another channel. So when you're dealing with a normie, you have to use lots of your intuition and psychology, and if you have a sixth sense as well, because you need to sense the moment when how far you can go and when he's getting way too agitated, because you need to understand that they can't get it. In a sense, they can get very little, and they can get very defensive very quickly. So one good thing about a person who's brainwashed is there is not much to the brainwashing. It's not that complicated. And there are like different substructures of the brainwashing. Somebody can be brainwashed by the communist socialist ideology. Somebody can be, and I met quite a number of people who've been brainwashed by the Islam. And some people can be brainwashed by the Jesus um, in more like Protestant way, because I don't know how to put it, but Catholics, they are not that, it's Catholic country, but there are not that many deep Catholics around. If they enter deep into religion, then they found some way of Protestantism to build radical views on, right? Which is to me confusing, because I traditionally believe that Protestantism is just a step to the atheism, because culturally that's how it works when you watch Protestant countries like Holland, like United Kingdom, like and so on. Yeah, you see that process. But however, there is a great deal of zealotism in that as well by the people who are now, going deep into Jesus. And there is this phenomena going on, by the way. So if you want to understand those people, you have to understand 4 or 5 principles they base their belief on. And after you talk with them 1 or 2 hours, you can actually communicate with them even mentally in a way you can practice for next conversation, because they act like a simple application, really. So this is the good part. The bad part is when somebody is acting like a simple application, that construct is very rigid. So I know that I'm repeating myself, but how to talk with somebody who's rigid? It's like it's like entering into cold water, and it's very cold here. It's like entering cold water and living with a Thai smile. This is how you talk. You understand me? And yeah, just I know this sounds like a cliche, but be nice, be nice, be nice to them. Know that you're talking with the people who are mainstream, who are majority, but who are effectively mentally ill, right? But functioning. Never forget that mentally ill people are, in most of the cases, functioning people. They know how to listen clear instructions at work. They know how to maintain their personal hygiene. They know how to eat. They know how to make love, more or less. So as on a machine level of existence, they know how to do that, right? But yeah, I'm not sure if I answered these questions. I know there is far more to it. And another piece of example is uh, never, don't, don't try not to act like a machine yourself. Try to feel every individual person as individual person, because uh, every single one of them has something off, something unique, right? And you have to sense that. My best guess is when you're talking with a normie, and when second hand gaslighting is happening, it's typically two-way game. He sees you as a crazy because you're the one who's not integrated into society. He's the one who has money and warm ass to come to you know, during these cold nights, right? This is pussy typically follows the money. That's just how it goes. I'm talking from the man's perspective, and most of my audience is typically male, of course. So that same person is actually seeing you as somebody who's not mentally well. So how do you counter that? Well, it's easy. You use your superiority. Basically, you're the one who's calmer, right? You're the one who has a higher level of understanding. You're the one who can sense what's going on in him. If you Ti, that means to the degree you must have a sixth sense open, right? So you're using that kindness and that focus to disarm his guard, because if he has a consciousness, and let's face it, good 20% of people are sold, and Sven is sold. So if you're using this compassion and this calm and intelligent and rational mind, this will to the degree disarm him, because never forget they're mind controlled, they're hypnotized into seeing you as somebody who's smart but crazy. You understand me? And let's face it, the system really, really very well mind control them to the degree that you know you can't de-mind control him. He needs to be his own doctor, and that's kind of catch 22. But you understand now how to play the game. You must never allow to become in your mind what he thinks that you should be. So this is what I'm when I'm talking about good normies. This is how you deal with the good normies. The way how you deal with the bad normies is completely different way, and this is completely different topic. This requires the aggression and firm stand, because these guys now act like mad dogs, and mad dog is the foaming feminist. So this is another topic. So how now I'm like going way too much as I so it's already 20 minutes, but I need to basically say this. The foaming feminist. So how the foaming feminist is reacting? She will attack you, right? I'm saying she because it's typically women who use these tactics, and it's typically women who have this political higher ground to do this. So she's attacking you, and if you're weak, then she's calling her brethren to attack you in a pack because it's a feeding time. It's like a hyenas attacking a zebra or something like that. Everybody's trying to take a piece of meat, which is metaphor for prana they feed on as narcissists and psychopaths, right? Basically, feminist is just another term for psychopath. So, or borderline narcissist. It's cluster B stuff. So if you show her a firm position, then she's gonna turn immediately into victim. Ooh, and then you know what I mean, and go for the next attack. But again, you always have to be firm and even aggressive, because the only thing which is defending you is the balance of power in your favor. Otherwise, they're coming for blood, and this is another topic of unfortunate topic of the coming civil war, to America, and this is a heavy topic for me, and I think I'm gonna talk about it in length. But when I start talking about it, I just gonna get it off my chest. But I'm not ready now, okay? Because so I'll go back to the topic, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna upload this video because I prefer nice locations outside than this gloomy apartment. But I think I also need to talk when I'm inspired to do so. So this is one of those moments. So I feel there is more to it, and I feel that there was more to my mind when I was thinking about this, more than it's happening now when I'm talking to this camera. And I'll just finish with this: use compassion, use intuition, try to educate yourself as much as you can in psychology, because many of us TIs, and TIs, right? Many of us think that we know too much, but there is a great deal of knowledge in psychology, because psychology explains you different human levels and states of mind and approaches, and it really helps if you spend some time online educating yourself on that, and that can help you out, reaching them and dealing with them. My last best advice would be, uh, treat them same way you treat children. You need to show child the firmness of adult person on one hand, but on the other hand, you also need to treat the child with lots of compassion, with lots of love, and with lots of understanding and lots of hope that that seed of knowledge you gave to child will eventually grow into tree of knowledge. Okay, and always have this hope in your heart, even if child is mean right now and doesn't even know to see chemtrails which are making grids above its head, and challenging you, give me a proof, give me a proof. Oh, well, here it is. That's not a proof, that's not a proof. It is. It's like a song. And with this I'm gonna finish.